All right, Sisters fans, hope everyone is doing well. Let me just say that this was one of the better episodes of the season. Season 6, Episode 17, Taste of Freedom. I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10, and it's kind of funny because the characters of Andy, Danny, and Sabrina are the reasons why I'm deducting 1 point per lady. So 3 points missing because of these 3 women. And I gotta give props to the Sistas team, or the people who decide what the sneak peeks of the episode will be, because Maurice scoffed when Sabrina said, oh, okay, because Andy was like, is it possible that we really met 3 great men here in Atlanta? Like, what? Why would that even happen? And then Sabrina goes on to say, well, because we're 3 amazing women. And Maurice scoffs. And I'm thinking to myself, that sums up this episode in a nutshell. Because this episode proved, in my opinion, not that we needed any more proof than what we've already seen in the series so far, but this episode showed why these 3 women are anything but amazing. They are trash. Yeah, I said it. This episode proved it. My live stream, we talked about it for over an hour. This episode was wild because you just look at how these women interact and treat men, and they have the audacity to think that not only are they amazing women, but they deserve good, well, spectacular men, despite the fact that they use, manipulate, play games, and do all kinds of underhanded shit to the men in their lives. To anybody I may have offended with those statements, these are fictional characters, but it doesn't matter. I feel like a majority of people agree with me when I've said what I said during this 2-minute intro. So before getting into the actual review, because boy do I have a lot to say, take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe as we get closer to 300,000 subscribers. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And hit the bell icon and select all. That way you do not miss out whenever I post content on the channel. So, Danny, let's talk about her scenes first. So the episode picks up where we left off in the airport parking lot, where we kind of have a stare down between Tony and Preston. Preston apparently showed up to put something in Danny's car as a surprise because allegedly he has a spare key to her car. I guess he found the spare key that was in her apartment, or this was just a bluff. I don't believe they fully explained that in the opening scene. So this could have been like a quote unquote, oh, here we go, Preston, not knowing boundaries and, invading space and that kind of thing. Or this could, again, just been a bluff, basically his quote unquote reasoning for popping up unannounced to surprise Danny. Regardless as to whether or not it was a bluff, Danny tells Tony to leave, but then Preston's like, no, you stay. It's like, so how long have you known each other? Oh, we actually work together. And then, after Tony leaves, he's like, well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to stand at the door and watch you to make sure you're safe. And I'm like, okay, Tony. All right. So from there, Preston is asking more questions. It's like, you talk about coming here early, because Danny is just like making light of the situation. Like, Preston, there's no need to be jealous and stuff. And it's like, no, this is the guy you hung out with last night. Well, actually, it wasn't even like that. It was like a triple, we were there for Andy and he just so happened to be there and this, that, and the third. But I'm just thinking like, wow, Danny, you're acting like you don't already have a scheduled date with this dude later on today. Danny, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. It's like you want to hold on to Preston, but you also want to hang out with other people. It's like This episode just made Danny look so damn bad. I mean, because as the episode goes on, when she's talking to Tony, when she's talking to Sabrina, it's like she's acting like Preston is the one who has a problem. Oh, well, I'm not going to talk to Preston yet because, he came to my job and he was all jealous and this and that. And, she tells Tony later on, well, it's like, because he asked about, like, what's the situation with you two? It's like, we're trying to figure things out. And I'm like, trying to figure it out? Heifer, you're the one that suggested to Preston barely 36 hours ago, let's try to be in a relationship for real. And here you are going on dates with another dude. This is just messed up. So eventually Preston just leaves the parking lot and, Danny's like, well, let me just go into the job. So we go over to the law firm. Maurice is grateful to Andy and, what else do I need to say? He basically bashes on her outfit. I will admit though, when he cracked on her prom shoes, I thought, Maurice, if you would have saw the dress she wore to her date last night, you would have had full reign to just let loose on the prom dress jokes. But in any case, the girls are like, we ain't got time for Maurice's antics. We need to celebrate your newfound freedom, with Jordan at his place with the guys. And Maurice thinks he's invited too, but it's like, nah, fam, this ain't really about you. But this leads into the scene from the sneak peek where Andy's whole stick of the episode is, in her feelings because Jordan hasn't called her yet. So she's, all nervous. And it's like, well, I guess he didn't like me that much. And I'm not going to show up to the dinner because he hasn't called. And, Rich had texted Sabrina Anson a photo from their time on the bus. So Sabrina's excited. So from there, yeah. Sabrina calls Danny so they can chat about the situation. She's happy about her newfound freedom. Danny's a bit upset about the Preston thing, which leads into what I said before, the fact that she's acting like Preston is the one with the problem when it's like, you're the one who's seeing another dude while you're dating this man. Well, even worse, because what? You agree to go out. You agree to be in a relationship. You go out to dinner. You get home, have banging sex apparently. You get him high off your pen. He's high for a majority of the next day while you go to work. You do a good job of brushing off Tony's initial advances. So then you go get off work. And if I remember correctly, you go to Karen's place with the girls. Then you agree to go to Andy's penthouse to freshen up because it's like, oh, my girl's going on a blind date. Me and Sabrina are going to be there to make sure she's cool. And you don't even call on Preston or check on him at all. Then you meet up. Not her fault, but, the guy from the airport is there too as a wingman for Jordan. They hang out with the guys. They arrange for a second date. All the girls and extra guys included. And then you get home late. Preston is worried about you. And you act like you weren't doing anything. You get text, a coded text from Tony. Then you leave for work hours early the next day because you don't want to have the conversation with Preston. Danny is trash. Say what you want to. I don't care. Yes, Preston had Mindy and all that other stuff, but like I said before, what Preston did was messed up, but at the same time, he made it known what was up. He wasn't doing shady shit behind people's backs. It's like, hey, Danny, you want to meet Mindy? Hey, Mindy, I'm going to go talk to Danny. You stay at the hotel, okay? Again, it's weird as hell, and Danny rightfully pointed out how odd the situation was, but keep in mind, you're the one who initiated the relationship, which again, I think the only reason Danny let Preston stay was because she was afraid of Jonah coming back. This is just messed up on so many levels. So Tony eventually comes over, basically, like what he said in the promo, is like, hey, well, I just thought you were pro-black. I never really saw you as a woman who would date outside of her race, but, the situation gets a little awkward the more he talks, but, the conversation shifts gears over to, well, my girl is kind of in her feelings because your boy hasn't called her yet. So Tony gets on the phone to call Jordan, to call Andy. Immediately is like, you know what? You're messing this up for me. You better call her right now. So from there, Zach and Fatima are talking to a lawyer named Wesley. He is the one who could hopefully schedule an emergency hearing as soon as possible. There is no set time frame on this, but he's going to do everything he can. But he basically makes it clear, like, one of the worst things you can do right now is to go back over to Heather's place and snatch up your son. We need to do this by the books. Apparently there have been 0 welfare reports at all. So that just makes you wonder, was that old lady lying about the number of times she has contacted like child care services and whatnot to come over to Heather's place? I mean, has she contacted them and they just never showed up, or what's going on here? Somebody's not telling the truth. But, they do say that she can be a witness, so we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. I honestly don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, he does say just be patient because we need to go through this the right way. And I'm just happy that there is a character in this show to tell these rowdy characters, like, look, I know this situation sucks, but we got to play it by the books. So as they leave the office, Wesley's telling Fatima's like, yeah, I got you, but you owe me one. And Zach's like, what do you mean he owes you one? I mean, you owe him one. What's up? It's like, yeah, he was not really looking at me the way you think he was looking at me. He was looking at my earrings, but he might be more interested in you. It's like, oh wait, I didn't know. It's like, Wesley into guys, not women. It's like, oh, okay. So then one of the funniest scenes of the episode comes about when Hayden stops them in their tracks to kind of brag about his wife. I told y'all, I predicted this, that he was going to stop and talk to them, not to, start some mess, but basically to show off his new wife. And somebody on, during the live stream made a good point. What would have made this scene even better, because this was a great scene, when Zach asked to see Tamara's ring and they joked on how small it was, the rock was. If Fatima would have flashed her ring, that would have been amazing, because I think Tamara would have looked at it and it's like, oh wow, it's like, that's a big ring. Baby, why didn't you give me a ring that big? Basically, she could have coaxed Hayden into getting her a bigger rock, spending more of his money on her. So that would have just been funny. And I think my favorite part is when it's like, so how long have y'all known each other? Oh, well, that's not important. Yeah, that's not important. It's just, I'm good now. I'm good. It's like, he tried to like crack on, their relationship versus his. But then Zach brings up the fact it's like, oh, yeah, well, your man here used to be, all up in our business, but it looks like he got his own situation going on now. My favorite bit is when they kind of part ways. It's like, yeah, let's get it out of here, honey. There's a lot of hating going on right now. Ain't no hating, hey, love over here. All right, look at him. Look so cute. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Zach's face when he said Tweedledum, hilarious. And then he tells Fatima, baby, look at this. Look at me. Don't you feel sorry for what that little gremlin gets. He gonna get what he gonna get. And, that was this was a highlight of the episode. I loved it. I truly loved it. So, as we get towards like the end of the work day, Andy finally gets calls from Jordan, but guess what? She ignores the calls. Thankfully, Fatima's there and answers it for her. And this is the part of the episode where I just got sick of Andy. So she's been nervous and anxious all day for the phone call. Because she's like, yeah, well, I'm not going out today like I thought because, I haven't gotten a phone call. And then it's like, no, I'm not going to answer the call. So Jordan literally, tells the truth about, how he was nervous. Like, he's intimidated by Andy. Basically, this dude is just groveling and kissing her feet at this point. So he talks about how pathetic he is compared to her and how she makes him feel. Yet she's like, oh yeah, well actually I can't come. I actually have other plans. So this dude is begging. And then Fatima chimes in, actually Mrs. Barnes, because she answered the phone as if, hey, I'm her assistant. It's like, oh yeah, well Mrs. Barnes, your dinner has been canceled, so you're free. So, she does agree to go over there, and then Andy's in her feelings about it. And then basically Fatima says, you need to go out there and have fun, because she basically says over the phone, to Jordan, like, wait, so you saying I'm like a prize or a trophy? And he's like, wait, no, that's not what I meant. I'm just kidding, Jordan. And I'm thinking, she uses this line a lot, yet it's interesting because she literally tells Fatima about how she thrives off of playing games and, loves being chased. And I'm like, you ain't no prize yourself, Andy. And like I said during the live stream, I'm not trying to sound like one of these red pill, manosphere, Kevin Samuels channels or anything like that. But Andy to me is not a prize. When you've had enough men reach into the Cracker Jack box, the prize is gone. At some point, the box is completely empty. There's no more Cracker Jacks. There's not a prize in there when you've let so many other men reach their hand into it to, grab something. So when you finally meet a man of good stature, I'm not talking about like physical height, but I mean like in terms of his life, and Lord, I hate to use this phrase, but a high value man, you act like you need to be pursued. Oh, he needs to do this. He needs to grovel. When there are plenty of men in Andy's life who has done a lot less to get way more from her. Basically, I said this on Twitter. I said, so this man has to grovel before Andy so she can agree to go out basically, to agree to come over to his place for a dinner that she already agreed to go to the night before. All this is about control. This is about control. This dude had to do all of this stuff so she can feel empowered. Yet Gary, he can just waltz into her place, her office, her home or whatever. He can just walk into wherever she is, act like a complete asshole, and this heifer will get wet and drop the panties on the spot. You are not a prize. You are a tramp. You are a tramp. And even worse is the fact that, yeah, like she says, I'm not a prize, I'm not a trophy, yet you play games and you want to be chased. Yet participants in a game or a chase, typically the winner receives what? Either a prize or a trophy. Andy, you are not fooling anybody. You're being extremely hypocritical and you're just looking extremely worse as a character. Seriously, this reminds me of the Robin thing. The fact that when Robin, they were first interacting, Andy was feeling like she was the one in control, but when Robin dropped the bomb that, actually I did a lot of research on you, I know about your sketchy past and whatnot, but that's when Andy was like in her feelings because like she doesn't like to be put in a position where she doesn't feel like she has the power. She feels like she's at a disadvantage or something. So the fact that Jordan didn't call all day while she was anxious, her way of getting back at him was making him just sound like a little punk on the phone with no game. That's pitiful and childish. It really is. So from there, she talks about how, okay, well, Fatima, you don't want to play games and whatnot, but what about Zach and all this drama? Are you okay with Karen and then the other baby mama and all this other stuff? Fatima just makes it clear, look, there's a lot of shit that comes with Zach, but guess what? I'm standing by my man. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of shit she's putting up with, but guess what? She ain't out in these streets playing games like Andy. And not to mention, and also, I mean, Andy asked her honestly if she was okay with this, but at the same time, I'm like, Andy, look at all the shit. And I don't even want to say all the shit Gary put you through because you chose to stay in that foolishness. You had a 6 month long affair. Crazy wife, but fun. Yes, Jasmine. You put up with all the stuff that came with that. Your reputation and your name was dragged through the mud because of this affair. Because remember, Jasmine said that she had a lot of it, like journalist friends and whatnot. So they could pretty much put a damper on her career. Jasmine just put out all these flyers and stuff around town, just talking about how she's a whore. And I mean, Andy's a whore, this, that, and the third. Gary bruised her ribs and, has been completely possessive and, the feds and all this other stuff. So for her to ask Fatima, like, oh, are you sure you're okay with all the stuff Zach has going on without looking at all the shit Gary has going on and the stuff that she's dealt with? And hell, Jasmine breaking into her apartment and shooting Gary and then pointing the gun at her. Andy, just sit down. Just sit down. I know you were already sitting at your desk, but just sit down. Sit the hell down. All right, so then we get to the most controversial part of the episode, because during the live stream, I got some flack for this. But like I said, over 80% of my, viewer fan base is female. I'm a male, so my perspective is not always going to be the most popular. So Bio comes over to Sabrina's apartment, which I do believe Sabrina did call him over there. And she asks if he got his money back yet, and he says no, but she does say that, hey, the charges are dropped. And he's like, oh, this is great. He's like, would you like to go out to celebrate? Oh, actually not tonight. Oh, okay. You must be busy. How about tomorrow or the weekend? I'm actually going to be busy every night. Oh, And she pretty much says on the spot, well, I don't want to go out with you anymore because I don't like how you treated my friend. And I'm thinking like, what the hell is she talking about? Because the quote unquote way that Bio treated Maurice has treated Sabrina and pretty much everyone he's interacted with, especially her own friends like, Andy and whatnot. Maurice has treated Sabrina far worse than what Bio allegedly did wrong to Maurice. Go back to the interaction. I think this is when Maurice got out of jail and they were at Sabrina's apartment. And, Bio was not feeling Maurice at all. And it's just like, I guess you say he's homophobic or whatnot. I don't know. I mean, Bio did say that it's not his sexuality, but there are a number of reasons why I don't like your friend. But then Sabrina's like, oh, he's one of those people. It's like, they say they ain't a racist, but you can just tell that they're racist because of, how they act and whatnot. But I'm thinking to myself, I don't think Maurice is worth sticking your neck out for. I think Bio, if this was his last episode, it's a shame he had to go out on this note, but this is just stupid if you ask me. So Bio, in my opinion, is rightfully in his feelings because he's like, so you only use me for the money. And now it's like you're one of these trifling bitches, basically. And then she's like, nope. And then she goes up to open the door. And he's like, don't ever call me again. Well, I won't, bitch. And then Danny comes in, it's like, oh, what? I got your bitch here, huh? And then, he's like, yeah, a prince of a small stature. He's kind of standing on his tippy toes and then he leaves. Now, here's the problem that came from the live stream because some people disagree with me on this. And they're like, yeah, he called her out of her name. Yeah, he was, out of line for that. But I think that people overestimated the B word thing. And I get it because I guess to women, like being called out of your name, the B word is like a white person calling a black person the N word. But Sabrina completely dismissed the fact that she clearly used this man for $1.5 million. He literally said like, just because I have a lot of money does not mean you get to use me. Now, yeah, it seems like he definitely expected something from putting up the money to get Maurice out. Yeah, but all I'm saying is Sabrina is lucky that Bio doesn't seem to be like a horrible guy because he did say like you're going to get yours, but I feel like that's like a karma thing. If the dude, literally a prince of all the resources and whatnot, she would come up dead or something, for all we know. I think that's pretty fucked up. Like the dude put up all this money. This reminded me of what Andy did to Robin. Like Andy was in her feelings because if I remember correctly, Robin, went off on her because of the whole Hayden sending that email about Andy having sex with the janitor. And then he was all apologetic and whatnot because he found out Hayden was the one that sent it. And then Andy like had a lie over, basically she was right, but she acted like I didn't sleep with him because I believe Robin talked to Paris about it. And from there, he was literally groveling to get her forgiveness. He's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you unless it has something to do with business. But then when Robin was trying to figure out a way to help out Sabrina, he's like, yeah, okay, well, just let me know about updates on Sabrina. I don't want to talk to you unless it has anything to do with that. But then the moment he goes over to the penthouse, she's all cold about it. But then when he mentions how much the money is for the bail money, that's when she's all, Robin, could I borrow $1.5 million? And then after that, they were cool. But then that's when Gary and Hayden concocted that plan to put money into the pot. And then Robin will be given the boot if he didn't come up with the funds. So then when Robin was in a tight spot, Andy half-assed a way to help him out by giving him the information for a loan shark. And then when he gave a simple question, it's like, hey, you're not working with Gary against me. She got in her feelings about that and literally just brushed him off like he didn't do anything to help her out. And I thought that was like, this dude went through so many hoops and ladders using up favors to get Zach out of jail, to get Fatima out of jail, put up $1.5 million to get Sabrina's ass out of jail. Yet he asked you for one favor and you give him just like a dangerous route. It's like he didn't give you a dangerous, like, look, you know what? I called in a favor to get Fatima out of jail. So you know what? You got to represent this dangerous criminal in a divorce settlement, or, you need to do this because Zach got out of jail. He used what he could to get people out with no strings attached. And he's like, oh yeah, well, here's a loan shark. And then she just railroaded him, basically just told him off and made him feel bad because he made her feel bad. And then you have Sabrina, who, in my mind, like I said, $1.5 million. It's like in the haves and the have-nots when Benny borrowed, like, what was it, $20,000 or $50,000, and the interest is crazy because it's from a gangster family. For Sabrina to just act like this guy who put up $1.5 million for her friend would just be calm, cool, and collected when she's like, oh, well, you'll get your money back. I don't want to see you anymore. She has lost the mind that she clearly does not have. So in my mind, I don't think Bio calling her the B word is worse than her using this dude for $1.5 million. I'm not saying like, yeah, she's a bad person for not putting it out, basically sleeping with him. No, basically the fact that you just rejected this guy and act like everything is cool, like, nah, that's not a good look. So yeah, it was foul for him to call it the B word, but in that moment I'm like, yeah, I can see why he did, but whatever. So from there, Andy comes over after Danny borrowed an outfit for Sabrina. And the thing is, like, it just goes to show how trash these women are. Like, instead of going to talk to Preston, she literally is like, oh, well, I don't want to go home because Preston's tripping right now. He's really jealous. So can I just wear one of your outfits, Sabrina? So then Andy comes over and notices her Pepto-Bismol shoes. And I'm like, this woman would rather wear these, Pepto-Bismol colored shoes and carry this pink purse as opposed to going home. Well, then again, can you imagine Danny going to her place to, half-assed avoid a conversation with Preston about Tony while she's getting dressed for a date with Tony? This heifer is trifling. I need to put in the clips, trifling bitches, of Bio, but that'll be too much work. It'll be very fitting though. Andy looking good in the blue. I think Sabrina looked nice. I think her green outfit was probably my favorite. Yeah, what was it? The green outfit she wore the past couple episodes. Then the outfit before that with the orange undershirt and the black blazer. I think those were I think they even addressed it in this episode. Sabrina's like, yeah, my outfit, my wardrobe's getting better, but Lord, Andy went in on that outfit Danny had on. So they they leave to go to the party. And once they get to the party, they are, taken aback by Jordan's home. It looks pretty nice. They go to the backyard, and Gary's there. So, the other two scenes to talk about here, we got Karen dropping off a box of stuff, and then we got Zach and Fatima's dinner. So, Karen drops off a box of things, and, maybe it's just me. But, she dropped off the box of things for Zach's son. Zach just so happens to be coming outside from the, taking out the trash. But if you kind of notice, Karen's face when, I think she hears the door open and hears Zach's voice, it's like she almost lights up because she did say she didn't want to knock. But I don't know. Maybe it's like she put down the box of a little thunk so the person in the house could hear it. So they pretty much have a brief conversation, and, she's dropping off more things because of the way she acted at the store. And after seeing little man's face, she just, I guess, maternal instincts kicked in. But she's like, so how are you? It's like, yeah, well, I'm just going through a lot right now. Oh, I guess this means you don't want to tell me about it. And I felt like a sense of a Karen obligation kind of thing. But she feels like she has the right to know everything going on in Zach's life. But he does tell her about how Heather took him back, and, he has to go through the legal system right now to try to get him. But she's like, is it really that bad? It's like, yeah, the situation's bad. So, from there, she talks about her current situation. And, so why are you doing this? Like, yeah, seeing him, your son just did something to me. And she addresses the whole situation. Right now I just want to be single, focus on me and this baby. And, I don't want to be stressed anymore. Let go and let God. And I'm thinking, Lord, take the Lord's name out your mouth with all the venom you be spewing. And then Zach's like, oh, the preacher must be getting to you, huh? Well, yeah, me and Aaron are, we're done. So it's like, oh, okay. So from there, she's like, well, yeah, I guess later on we could talk about visitation and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay. And I'm thinking like, just give it a rest already. And it's funny because she talked about how, yeah, you know, your son looks just like you. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, wait till you have that kid and he looks nothing like Zach at all. Oh yeah, it's also brought up about how, oh yeah, well, you were with her, Heather. You were with her when we were together. And then he makes it clear, it's like, basically like, Jada, look, yeah, I got into an entanglement, but I didn't cheat because me and you, we weren't together at that time. And if you look at the timeline, it still makes no sense. Zach and Karen had an on and off thing for 3 years. Michael is 3 years old. Heather was pregnant for probably about 9 months. So again, the timeline makes no sense for the Heather hookup to be even during the relationship of Zach and Karen. But regardless, he goes back inside. I'm like, bro, I know this nigga ain't smiling when Karen walks off. So Fatima comes in later, and one of my favorite lines of the episode, did Karen cook that? Because he's getting dinner already. And people were like, wait a minute. So how long was Fatima? Because Fatima reveals that she was sitting in the car and noticed Karen, you know, and wanted to see if Zach would tell her about Karen being there or not. But I'm guessing that perhaps during the cooking, he went outside briefly to take out the trash. I don't know. But regardless, he just talks about how, you know, Karen came out with more stuff, and she talked about how the baby, you know, just seeing Michael did stuff to her. And then Fatima mentions how, yeah, you know, my friend who was pregnant at one point, she like cried during like a tampon commercial or something like that. So I guess it's like a maternal thing. So then the conversation shifts gears to, you know, no updates on the emergency hearing yet. But despite how badly they want to go get Michael right now, they got to do things by the book. But if they don't hear anything about a hearing by the weekend, they're going to go get Michael. So, you know, they got the Bonnie and Clyde thing going on. So that's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. Yeah, the women are trash. Karen, out of all the women, seemingly being the least problematic, but she really does need to stop coming by unannounced and looking for any sort of excuse to, you know, be over at Zach's home or talk to him and stuff. It's just ridiculous. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.